Okay, good morning everyone. How are you today? Okay, that's good to hear. So let us pray first before we start our discussion. Amen. So, again, good morning class. Please arrange your chair and pick up those pieces under your chair. Okay, very good. And for your attendance, say present once your name is called and raise your hand. Okay, so far so good. There's no absent today. So before we start our formal discussion, I prepared a warm-up activity, and this activity is all you need to do is to assemble the word inside this envelope. Inside this envelope contains a scrambled letters, and then you formed it in a one word, and the word that you've been assembled is connected to the elements of a short story. But first, I will group you into 5. Let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? Group 1, Group 2, Group 3, Group 4, Group 5, stand up. And please go to your group. Okay, Group 1, you may sit here. Group 2, you may sit there. Group 3 in the middle. Group 4, this side. And in group 5 to the last row. Okay, I will give you 5 minutes to do the activity, and then after that I will call one of your groups that tell us what word have you been assembled. Okay, you may all start now. Okay, time's up. Group 1, what word have you been assembled? Okay, it's a settings. Group 2, characters. Group 3, theme. Group 4, plot. Group 5, conflict. Okay, very good. You all got the answers correct. And so for now, let's proceed to our formal discussions. We have the elements of a short story. So again, we have this one of the elements of the short story. We have the characters. Can someone read the characters? Okay, Joanna. Very good. So the characters is the people that make up the story. It could be also a forms of things and animals. The characters is a persons or sometimes even an animals. It is to take place or part in an action. It is a short story or either in a literary work. So we have the settings. The settings or time of an actions. It could be where did it happen? When did it happen? So the settings is authors that can use any descriptions or any landscapes, scenery, buildings, seasons, or weathers to provide a strong sense of settings. And then also, a short story settings is it also could be it starts with the questions of when did it happen or where did it happen. And we have these third elements of a story. We have the plot. The plot is what happened in a story. The plot is a series of events or even a character's actions that are related to the central conflict. It could be what happened in a story. It is made up of stories or related events include the exposition, the conflict, the rising action, climax, falling action, and the resolution, or it could be ending. So we have there the 3 parts of a plot. We have the introduction. Introduction is the starting point of the story. And then the climax is the highest point of the story. And the ending is the concluding part of the story. First, we have the introduction. The introduction is the beginning of the story. It is the character background and settings should be revealed. So, you can find the settings in the introductions of the story. And they have the climax. It is the highest point of the story. The climax is the turning point of the story. It is in the middle of it is the middle happening of the story. And then the ending. The ending is the concluding part of the story. And it could be a happy ending, a sad ending, a mournful ending, a beautiful ending. So that's are the three parts of a plot. Do you have any question before I proceed to the next? None? Okay, if there's none, so I'll proceed. I have this conflict. Again, the conflict, it creates the drama in a story. The conflict creates the drama in the story. So the conflict is a tension that is usually heart of the story that are related to the main characters. In a short story, there is a main struggle. So we have the two general categories of conflict. We have the internal conflict, external conflict. And what is the internal conflict? Okay, Rina, please read the internal conflict. Okay, very good. The internal conflict takes place within the minds of the characters. Okay, the internal conflict involves a psychological struggle that takes place within the characters. Or main character caused by their emotions. It could be characters versus self. So it is caused by their emotions, fear, conflicting desires, or mental illness. So internal conflict tends to be a battle of reconciling and then two opposing of the focuses within the same individual. So that was the internal conflict. And now we have the external conflict. The external conflict, it states between people's individuals and the world external to individuals. It could be characters versus characters. And then it is the struggle that takes place between the main character and someone outside first. Therefore, it is the outside body of the protagonist. Usually, it is occurs when the protagonist struggles against the antagonist. A character that opposes to the protagonist is the main body of the story. And the last, we have the central idea in a work, which could be a theme. So a theme is the meaning behind the events and characters in actions. So the theme is the central idea, message, purpose of the story, and the theme that can be expressed to a general statement, people or life. It is not a summary, but also not a plot. Okay? So do you have any questions before we go to our activity? None? So I am clear? Okay, very good. So for your activity, I would like you to read a short story. A short story is all about the last leaf, and the author was O. Henry. Before you read the story, I will discuss who is the author first. But then, for you to have a copy to read, I provide you a hard copy. So please pass it backward. Okay, very good. So now, I will discuss first before you read the story. Okay? So O. Henry O. Henry the full name of O. Henry is William Sidney Porter, better known than pen name of O. Henry. He was an American short pen story writer. Porter was born in Greensboro, North Carolina. He moved to Texas in 1882, where he met his wife, Ethel Estes. They have 2 children already. And now, so you may all read the story now. I will give you 7 minutes because that is already a summary. Okay, you may start reading now. Okay, time's up. So for your activity, if you read a story, it could be easy to you. I would like you to distinguish the part of the characters. You distinguish the characters, settings, plot, conflict, and theme. You distinguish that according to the words that you've assembled lately to your previous group. And you do it also in group by group. Okay, go back to your group. Okay, group 1, what word have you been assembled later? That word that you've been distinguished. And please write it in a 1 full sheet of paper and then pass it to me because I will be the one to check your activity. Okay? Start now. I will give you 3 minutes. Okay, time's up. Give me your paper, please, and put it in my table. Okay, so for now, if you read the story, what lesson that have you learned from the story? Okay, Micaela, what lesson have you learned from the story? Okay, very good. Anyone? Okay, Christine, what lesson have you learned from the story? Okay, very good. Anyone? Okay. So, and the next questions. Again, what are the 5 elements of a short story? Characters, settings, plot, conflict, and theme. Okay, very good, class. Okay, so for now, your another activity. Please get 1/4 sheet of paper. I prepare a questions and then you only write the letters in your 1/4 sheet of paper. Okay? I will give you 1 minute to prepare your things. Okay, are you prepared? So here's the questions. Number 1. You only write the letter. I will read the question twice. Okay? So number 1, who are the characters in the story? Who are the characters in the story? Letter A, Luke, Henry, and John. Sue, John C., and Mr. Birmingham. Letter C, Peter, Mike, and James. Again, letter A, Luke, Henry, and John. Letter B, Sue, John C., and Mr. Birmingham. Letter C, Peter, Mike, and James. Okay, number 2. Where did the story take place? Where did the story take place? Letter A, Greenwich Village in a Bohemian neighborhood in New York City. Letter B, Greenwich Village in a Bohemian neighborhood in the United States. Letter C, Greenwich Village in a Bohemian neighborhood in California. Again, letter A, Greenwich Village, Bohemian neighborhood in New York City. Letter B, Greenwich Village in Bohemian neighborhood in United States. Letter C, Greenwich Village in Bohemian in a coast neighborhood in California. Okay, number 3. When did the story happen? When did the story happen? During a pneumonia epidemic? During Ebola pandemic? During coronavirus pandemic? So again, when did the story happen? During a pneumonia epidemic? During Ebola pandemic? during coronavirus pandemic. Okay, let's proceed to number 4. Which of the following was the introduction of the story? Which of the following is the introduction of the story? Letter A concerns Zoo, a poor young woman who is affected in Ebola virus. Letter B concerns John C., a poor young woman who is seriously ill in pneumonia. Letter C concerns Mr. Berman, sacrificed in his life for John C. Okay? Letter A concerns Sue, a poor young woman who is affected in Ebola virus. Letter B concerns John C., a poor young woman who is seriously ill with pneumonia. Letter C concerns with Mr. Berman, sacrificed his life for John C. Okay, proceed to number 5. Which of the following was the climax of the story? Again, which of the following is the climax of the story? A. When John C. learned that he is going to die. Letter B. When John C. learned that he is completely healed. Letter C. When John C. learned that the last leaf was in fact painted by Mr. Berman, who therefore sacrificed his life for her. Again, letter A. When John C. learned that he is going to die. Letter B. When John C. learned that he is completely healed. Letter C. When John C. learned that the last leaf was in fact painted by Mr. Berman, who therefore sacrificed himself to save her. Okay, number 6. Which of the following was the ending of the story? Which of the following was the ending of the story? Letter A. What is the ending of the story? Letter A. Mr. Berman caught a cold and contracted with pneumonia and died. Letter B. When John C. is died. Letter C. Mr. Berman was still alive. Okay, number 6. Which of the following was the ending of the story? Mr. Berman caught a cold and contracted with pneumonia and died. That was letter E. Letter B. John C. is died. Letter C. Mr. Berman is still alive. Okay, number 7. What was the conflict of the story? What was the conflict of the story? Letter A. When John C. is going to die. Letter B. John C. has superstitious died for her faith of the last leaf on the vine which is certain to fall. Letter C. Mr. Berman was coughed by the cold and contracted with pneumonia and died. Again, when John C. is going to die. Letter B. John C. has superstitious died for her faith of the last ivy leaf on the vine which is certain to fall. Letter C. Mr. Berman was coughed by a cold and contracted with pneumonia and died. Okay, let's proceed to number 8. What was the theme or main idea of the story? What was the theme or main idea of the story? Okay, letter A. Be good to other people. B. Sacrificed oneself for others. Letter C. The power of hope and belief. Again, letter A. Be good to other people. Letter B. Sacrificed oneself for others. Letter C. The power of hope or belief. Okay, we have these additional questions. Number 9. Major moral lesson of the story. What is the major moral lesson of the story? A. Sometimes we need to sacrifice ourselves to save other people's life. Letter B. Even if we have to face the bad things, we should always help our loved ones. And letter C. If we trust God, nothing is impossible. Again, what is the major moral lesson of the story? Letter A. Sometimes we need to sacrifice our life to save other people's life. Letter B. Even if we have to face the bad things, we should always help our loved ones. And letter C. If we trust God, nothing is impossible. And number 10, the last number. Who is the author of the story, The Last Leaf? Who is the story author of The Last Leaf? Okay? Letter A, William Shakespeare. Letter B, Charles Dickens. Letter C, O. Henry. Again, letter A, William Shakespeare. Letter B, Charles Dickens. And letter C, O. Henry. Okay, class? Are you done? Finish or not yet finished? Please pass your paper forward. Because I will be the one to check your activity. Okay? So now, for your assignment, write or create a story about your journey in your life. So again, create your own story about the journey of your life. Please write it in a one whole sheet of paper and pass it on Monday. Do you have any question? None? Okay, if there's none, let us call it a day. Goodbye, class. Thank you for joining our class today. Okay, goodbye. Take care always and God bless.